Capital and beyond. So much to talk about, so much to have conversations on. And we know that, yes, Otumfo has completed the mediation talks and will soon be told the outcome of those talks. And then yesterday as well, we saw the news about petitions being sent to President Mahama, basically for the removal of the EC chair, her deputies as well. And we'll be getting into all of those conversations. But welcome aboard the show this morning. Remember, we are also live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube at GHOne TV. So if you live in the house, don't worry. We are still live there. You can follow us and join us as well. Let's start this morning with some motivation with the quote of the day. And this morning's quote is from Jack Cornfield. He says, no matter how hard the past is, you can always begin. No matter how hard the past is, you can always begin again. Of course, there's no better time than today. And so live in the present and forget about the past and all the challenges you've encountered. So long as you're alive, there is hope for you to be able to turn that situation around. And so that's our quote for the morning. But let's learn some new words and see how we can use that and exemplify it as well. Teacher Nurain helps us with our word of the day.
Today's word is Kerfuffle. Kerfuffle, it's a noun. A kerfuffle is a lot of argument, noisy activity, or fuss. Here is an example. The mass failure of the students has caused a kerfuffle on social media. Kerfuffle.
All right, so kerfuffle, that's the word for this morning. And of course, a lot of people are talking about the failure, the mass failure in core math as well as social studies. And I've seen people ask questions, how can you fail social? Who fails social studies? Well, we'll be getting into the conversation around that as well. And so let's do the video of the day. It's a Tuesday. Let's get into the groove. Yes, we are shining this morning because, of course, Christmas beckons and we are excited about it as well. But let's check out who is also excited in court because, honestly, so much is happening there. And of course, Mutala Inusa is joining me with court today. Kodjo, good morning.
Joshua, Kodjo, Mensah, good morning.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
Yes.
I missed you yesterday.
I did miss you as well. I did miss you as well. You get it.
You know, they say when two guys are saying miss, then it becomes problem. So Mutala is
okay.
This
is not the Sam George one. This is what the Sam George had been referring to. Then,
oh my goodness.
You made an interesting point about social studies.
Yes.
I remember those days in school. If there was any subject at all that even if you have not studied, you get something to write. In social studies.
Social studies, yeah.
So,
but it wasn't one of the subjects
amazing.
I liked when I was in secondary school.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think for science students, it was one of our challenges.
Okay.
So someone will clock 7 A's, 1 B. If you check the B's in social studies.
Well,
yeah,
I think those of us who read art.
Exactly.
For you, were so excited about social studies. When we see the, like you mentioned, all the A's who come, when you see one with the B, then you know it is in maths.
Well, yeah, but this time around, I mean, the young ones.
Yes, Joshua.
So Generation Alpha people.
That brings to mind the videos that we were seeing on social media after the WASI, or even before the WASI, that we are seeing all the dems at the end of all of them.
The papers have deleted them. Social studies and commerce has finished them.
Yes, finished them.
But what I don't like is the politicization. You know,
you see, one problem.
Akufo-Addo graduates versus Mahama graduates. I mean, these are children.
Future generation.
It's a fundamental problem with our education system.
So.
We are preparing students to chew, pass, pour, pass, and forget.
Yes.
And so people don't apply. The application becomes fundamentally wrong. And so people are just learning to pass exam, not necessarily because they understand the concept of what they are learning in school.
And that is
and that's what we should be looking at.
That's a weak foundation. Yeah. That's really, really a weak foundation. Yeah. When you give that kind of foundation to anybody at that age, definitely you grow to become a disaster.
Absolutely. But you know what? Forget them. We go forget them. We go forget them. Yeah. And let's get to understand exactly what's happening in court because I mean Gregory Afoko.
Yes.
It's been what, 10 years? Like
just looking at 54 years in May 2015. Are you getting the connection? Gregory Afoko was arrested. The incident happened on the 20th of May, 2015. He was arrested 21st of May, 2015. He was 54 years.
Wow.
10 years, 7 months. He's been discharged. He's not been acquitted. He's been discharged because the court is of the view that the case has stalled since November last year. But what is the background to this case? Like I mentioned, May 20, the incident happened, 2015. 21st of May, Gregory Afoko was arrested. Fast forward, the first trial started in 2017, 2019. It was just about ending before Justice L.L. Mensah, a justice of the Court of Appeal, as he then was. The parties were then to file their written submission, come to court and orally address the jury. Then the court will sum up the trial. The jury will retire and come out with their verdicts. Then in January, thereabout, the second accused person was arrested as Sabki Alangdi. And that whole process of the first trial truncated. So fresh start will have to, or the case will have to start again or afresh. It went before Justice Efua Meliwood. So from 2019, as she then was, she's also retired. The case traveled up to 2023 when the jury returned a hung jury. At the end of the trial, there was no conclusion. The trial ended inconclusively. So a trial has been reordered. So that is the third trial. It started again, and in fact, the first trial, prosecution called 14 witnesses. The second trial, prosecution called 16 witnesses. And in the third trial, prosecution indicated that they were retaining the 16 witnesses. This time around, so from Justice L.L. Mensah, as he then was, Justice Efua Melewood, as she then was, now to Justice Marie Lewis Simmons. 5 of the witnesses have been called, and then here we are. Yesterday, Gregory Afuku was discharged because the court was of the view that the trial had stalled. Yesterday, the prosecution wasn't up in court, and the court makes the point that as it stands now, there had been series of adjournment. The jurors who were in court, they were present, they were not even properly constituted, and at the point in time, the court holds the view that even as and when they come to court, they are being paid. And every now and then, the case is being adjourned. In the eyes of the court doesn't think that that is good enough. So yesterday, Gregory Afuku, Asapke Alangde, they were discharged. Remember that in the second trial, Asapke Alangde was found guilty for conspiracy. Then we asked the question, how can one person be found guilty for conspiracy? Conspiracy will always happen when 2 or more people are involved. So the jury returned 4-3 verdict of not guilty for Afuku for conspiracy, 4-3 not guilty for murder for Afuku. They unanimously returned a guilty verdict against Asapke for conspiracy, and 4-3 not guilty for murder. So he was found guilty for conspiracy, not guilty for murder. So it is on the murder charge that he is on with Afuku in respect of the third trial. Yesterday, they were discharged. But his lawyer, the second accused person or second accused convict, whichever way you want to put it, is in the Court of Appeal to challenge that verdict from the jury. And here we are. This case yesterday was so Afuku, he looked so emotional. Very, very emotional yesterday when you see him at the premises of the court when he was leaving, having some moments with friends and family members who came to show support with him. You see that Charlie Papana Bre.
And his brother Paul was there as well.
So this is he's now 64, from 54 to 64. So you could see that age is really catching up with him and all of that. So Gregory Afuku yesterday has been discharged. So he will no longer come to court until such a time that they think that, no, we are ready now, we want to go back and then go and pick him and all of that. And this is in relation to the acid incident that happened in Bolgatanga involving the late Upper East Regional Chairman, Adams Mahama.
Quite interesting. And I think for Gregory, I remember listening to his brother Paul on Star Chat mentioning that indeed he believes strongly that his brother is innocent, and he believes his brother was framed, and he was the target. Paul Afuku was the target. But then because he was not there, they had to
use the
brother. So, well, I mean,
so it was very interesting matter, and in fact, the way this whole case was handled also bring a lot of dynamics and a lot of issues with respect to this very matter. There were a lot of controversial moments in relation to this case and all of that. But he notes that he was granted bail sometime in February, almost 10 years in lawful custody and all of that. And then few months after he was granted bail and he was released on bail, he's now being discharged. So for him, it's a good news for him. Moments that you have when you sleep, you'll not even be thinking about going to court anymore. And it's a pre-Christmas gift, if you want to call it. Just like you have your Christmas tree here. And all, you have already started the Christmas.
Oh, yes, we've started. But then for people who are engaged in illegal mining or alleged illegal mining, the Naimos case is also in court.
Yes.
CTP matters arising.
Yes. So yesterday, the Sitifi North Member of Parliament, he appeared in court. And when he appeared in court, he didn't come alone. He came with a full support. Yes, so you could see on your screens some members of Parliament. So he is the one beside the female member of parliament. The 7 other members of parliament yesterday stormed the circuit court to lend support to Ebenezer Kodjo, who is accused of having a role to play in that disturbances. What is key in relation to this case is that his plea has not been taken in relation to the provisional charges on the charge sheet. Yesterday, before her Anna, Basilia Teria Ej, her Anna, the court was informed by the police prosecutors that the substantive prosecutor in the matter is not available. He was supposed to, processes that were supposed to have been completed by way of investigations, and then their witness statement have not been done. Then the court said, look, at this particular point in time, in fact, the prosecutor was talking about witness statement and all of that, and the court drew his attention that, look, we have not taken the plea of the accused person, so witness statement and other thing, we are jumping the gun. Then he makes the point that they had to do further investigation, those that were seen in the videos, and then those that other suspects that they are pursuing. So they will need more time and adjournment. So the court's proud to adjourn. He also heard from the lawyer of the MP, who says that it looks like the last adjourn day, the prosecution made a point that they wanted to have his statement taken. That has not been done, even at the next court sitting. So that's the incident that happened that you're seeing briefly on your screen. At the next adjourn date, if the case is called and the prosecution is not ready, then his prayer will be that the court should discharge his client. The court said, this is an oral submission that you have made. Come formally at the next adjourn date if what you are thinking about happens, or should, in case the prosecution did not conclude or are not done with their processes and all of that, for the plea of the accused to be taken. So yesterday, this case has been adjourned to next year. Next year seems long enough.
Just a couple of days away.
So 22nd January 2026. That's the first time I'm having a case adjourned to 22nd. Yeah, so 22nd January 2022. That is next year. Let me use next year so that it will look long. But the point is that
we know that it's just a couple of days.
Yes, Ebenezer Kodjo will be in court, and then we'll see what will happen in relation to that.
Absolutely. And while at that, we know that the former National Service Authority Executive Director is also back in court.
OSICB entry. Those days when we were listening to, is it the World Cup? Yeah, I think one of the World Cup, the English commentators and go, Antwi, Asamoah Gyan, and all of that. So OSICB entry yesterday, today is Joshua Mensah, you caused this one. Today he's expected in court. The first time that he appeared, he was granted bail, 800 million, 6 sureties, all to be justified. His lawyers, and then he caused his lawyers, in fact, to file an application for bail variation because he was of the view that the bail sum is onerous. Now, the courts, so the bail was granted by Justice Kizita Nakwa-Kwashi. Then Justice Kizita Nakwa-Kwashi, because he sat through the legal vacation, she has to take some leave. Then the lawyers filed for bail variation, which came before Justice Marie Lewis Simmons. The bail sum was varied. All other conditions remained. The bail sum was varied from 800 million to a little over 600 million. The court look at the sum involved in which he is accused of and peg the bail sum in that figure. What is clear is that today he's expected to make his appearance in court, and the expectation is that case management conference is expected to happen because prosecution has been asked to file their processes, disclosures, and witness statement. And once case management conference comes on and it's concluded, then a date will be fixed for the trial to commence. So we will be in court this morning to monitor this case, Indeed, we'll also be confirming whether indeed Mr. OSICB entry, the former executive director of National Service Authority, has been able to meet his bail condition, because at the last court, even when it was varied, his lawyers made it known to the court that, Charlie, if you are even around East Legon, where an average house is around about $300,000, $200,000, you can even calculate all the houses there when you when you sell that, you not even get that amount of money. Sometimes if you go to East Legon, you're not getting, you can come to Cantonment, where Joshua Kodjo Mensah lives. You can just a big man and all of that. So this is one of the cases that we should keep an eye on. And tomorrow we'll come and tell you more about Nana Agrada and all of that. Yeah, so that's what we'll leave.
But we know the Nana Agrada will also be in court today.
Nana Agrada will be, in fact, she will come in tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow she will be in court in relation to the nude. Yeah. Then on the Thursday, which is the 4th, she'll be at Amasama to see if she can celebrate Christmas by way of the appeal. So,
anyways, well, we'll keep tabs on that and then update viewers as well. But thank you so much,
thank you, Joshua,
for bringing us caught today. I will take a quick break. We'll return with Inside Out. Well, for Inside Out this morning, we know that for some time now, the Asantehene Otumfuo II has been doing some mediation work with regards to the Boko crisis. He's been engaging the feuding factions, and we are expecting a roadmap from there. And yesterday, the 1st of December, marked the conclusion of that particular development. And so the interesting bit is that after yesterday, both parties seem to be excited to be celebrating. We don't know the outcome. We are told from Mensah will be updated on the outcome of the mediation process, and hopefully this should chart a path towards peace in the Boko enclave. Ibrahim Hassan, head of political desk, has joined me. Ibrahim.
Joshua. So, yes, yesterday was beautiful. And we knew of yesterday because Asantehene had mentioned that he was going to give it a very final push, right? And so the day before yesterday, the parties arrived, right, in Kumasi. And so yesterday, the mediation process was concluded. Now, for some strange reason, even though the Asantehene did not give a verdict, because that's not what mediations are for. You see, it's not like you go to a court and then after advancing your argument and then the other party also advancing its argument, there's a determination that is made. No. This is a path to peace and peaceful existence and peaceful habitation in the enclave. Now, Otumfuo is done. Yesterday, something unfortunate happened on social media. One group decided to clone a flyer from a media house and said, yeah, the mediation was over. Boko belongs to, and then they mentioned one individual name. You see, and that caught fire on social media. Now, that's not how you engender peace. Again, there, after the exercise, the two parties were jubilating, as you mentioned, right? Okay, we from where we're set can say that a jubilation because there's light at the end of the tunnel for both of them. And they will exist and coexist peacefully. Otumfuo is expected to brief the president because this responsibility was given to him by the president, John Dramani Mahama. And so once the president gives you an assignment and you are done, you return to the president with the outcome. So that we expect to be done in the coming days. After at which occasion, I'm sure Otumfuo will use the opportunity to equally brief the general public about the works done. But I think we are still a bit far off getting to the final destination. But this is a very monumental progress that has been made.
I mean, especially also because we are not getting any sense of disappointment or disagreement from the factions that were engaged in the mediation process. So, and I don't know, but for me, it really speaks of some positivity coming up, because how many times have we had to come sit here in the morning and talk about Boko, the crisis there, people fleeing, businesses shutting down, the fact that economic activity is basically grinding to a halt in Boko. And so, I think the outcome of yesterday's meeting, regardless of what, the fact that we don't know exactly what the outcome is, the both parties celebrating, for me, is a good sign.
Of course.
It's a win-win for both parties.
Because the progress of this exercise hinges on the two of them and nobody else.
Yeah.
And so, if the two of them exited from this meeting excited and they are happy, for as long as the excitement is not a selfish one, right? It's good. It's a positive sign, right? But of course, I'm equally aware that then the security personnel, they had to intervene. Yes, had to intervene to at least separate the two. Yes, those things are emotions, running riot. That's understandable. But the takeaway from yesterday's exercise is that both of them were excited and that Otumfuo has done with his work. Hopefully, this becomes the very final work. Just as we manage as a nation, and kudos to President Akufo-Addo, to deal with the GHOne incident, we will equally be able to say that once and for all, the Boko conflict is behind us. And now we can pay attention to development. I've been to Boko myself, right? And I know the lack of development in the enclave. But you cannot fault people in power if all they do is to spend the money to protect the fragile peace, instead of using that to develop the enclave and also uplift the people. You cannot fault them, right? But when there's peace and the people in power decide not to develop the enclave, you will have advocates in us.
Absolutely.
We will stand here and then hold their feet to fire to ensure that development goes there. So first of all, let's secure the peace, and then the development follows. The women have suffered for far too long. The children have suffered for far too long. Yes. And
we'll be getting to our correspondent in the Ashanti region, Isaac Justice Bediako, to give us a feel of exactly the mood afterwards and what we're expecting, how even the area is shaping up, whether the factions have left, the two of them still in the area. We'll get all that understanding from Isaac Justice Bediako shortly. But like Ivy said, when we look at Boko currently, we are told it's a pale shadow of its former self. A very industrious, really busy town now, almost becoming a ghost town. Why? Because everybody has fled. Businesses have shut down. Banks have closed. And so economic activity is almost non-existent in the enclave. And then you cannot spare growth without these activities. And so you are not surprised that Boko is underdeveloped as it is currently. And it's also partly because of the conflict in the area. Once we are able to deal with this conflict, and I've always said that when we have a situation where two people feel entitlement, it becomes problematic. Then there's no compromise. Then there is no chance to logically look at issues. And so we are hoping that this particular meeting with Otumfuo, like IB said, is the last we see, and that we see lasting solution in Boko. Because you remember when the joint military force deployed to Boko, what they said was that they're not going to, what's the term? They are actually going to protect the peace, enforce peace.
Enforce peace, and not just maintain.
Come and beg for peace. No, we are going to enforce. And how long would you want to have military presence in the area? When you step out for 2 minutes, you know there's some military personnel around the area, because the fear is that you might cause mayhem. And so constant military presence in the area just to make sure that that peace that is in Boko currently is not destabilized. And so, I've seen the placards. Curfew is not the solution. But then if we do not have a situation where peace is reigning, curfew would have to be imposed on the area. And then, in this 21st century, your movement is curtailed.
It takes the livelihood away from you. Boko, and it's become a cliche, that whenever we are having a conversation about Boko, we say this, had one of the biggest markets in the enclave, right? cattle farmers and what have you. You go there, and it's a go-to place. Not anymore. Not anymore. To the extent that now we have separate markets for the factions. That's something that must not be encouraged, right? Yeah. So if you all come to one market, which used to be a very thriving market, and it actually spurred the economic growth of the enclave. And now because of this conflict and how protracted it has become, we have to have other markets for others to go because their safety cannot be guaranteed if they go to the main market. That is a problem. Education has been affected, right? Health provision is affected. Banks have packed out, right? Kids, in fact, we're talking about mass failures, right? Just pay attention to the results from the Boku enclave. Because look at the conditions under which they wrote their papers.
Even for BCE.
That's the point.
They didn't get it easy.
Exactly.
At a point, some ministers had to intervene, some MPs had to intervene so that the students can be carted, they can be like ferried to places to write in safety. Charlie, that's not the kind of Boku we want.
That's the point. We had a nursing training college. It's a pale shadow of itself, right? This is what many other communities are looking for, right? To have a nursing training college, right? So we are pointing these out to let people know that once peace reigns, the banks will return.
Absolutely.
The hospitals will start working again.
The businesses.
Yes, the businesses will return. And Boku once again become a very thriving community, right? You have pregnant women, and I had a conversation with somebody a few months ago who said their problems have not been highlighted enough. The impact of the conflict on pregnant women, on lactating mothers, and the vulnerable in general. It's not been highlighted enough, right? But of course, we keep highlighting, but we all know that these are not the people engaged in the direct conflict. Not the children, not the women, not the vulnerable group. It's the young men, the able-bodied men. And you see, whenever there's conflict like that, and because of my dispensation, my orientation, I'm able to say this. There are people who believe they are fortified, right? Right, Drew. You see, and that's the beginning of everything.
So
because of the fortification.
Yes, I can do anything.
Exactly.
All right. Let's get some clarity from Isaac Justice Bediakun, who is a man in the Ashanti region. He's been monitoring this whole development and he's joined us. Isaac, thank you for joining us this morning. So what more do we know? We know that yesterday, indeed, the mediation came to an end. Both parties, we are told, are in jubilant mood. But talk to me. What were you able to pick up?
Well, it was surprising to see them jubilating in the palace because at the time they were jubilating, there was no, pronouncement as to who has won what. And so it came as a surprise to everybody in the palace who saw them actually jubilating. But that was when the Kusazi people had come out. So later, the Manpubu people also came out and also started jubilating. And so I approached some of the supporters who came with them. Security was quite tight in Mensah Palace, in and outside the palace, giving major routes linking to the palace, right from the Nanefia Kubisewa roundabout through to the National House of Chiefs Secretariat. That road was blocked. Then from Kufum through to Nana Buabasa linkage that connects to the Mensah Palace, that road was also blocked. Then when you're coming from Keditia, Dr. Mensah through to Mensah Palace, that road was also blocked. And so supporters came in their numbers and they were drumming, singing their songs with their leaders. But unfortunately, when they got to the main gates, they were told to go back. They only allowed the people that the mediation committee wanted to meet. And those people were all given tags. So if you don't have a tag, you will not even be allowed to enter. And the people were in a bus. So all the passengers in that particular bus were those that they allowed the bus to move inside the palace. And so that was the security arrangement there. So after which they came out and started jubilating. And so later on, my checks from the two camps confirmed to me that yes, the mediation sentence is over. Now the committee is going to put together their report and submit it to the president. However, the Asantehene told them that they should remain calm and ensure that nothing threatens human life and business activities within their respective communities, so that they work on the verdict. However, the verdict that will come, be assured that will be in the collective interest of the two factions. And so that is what the community members, those that I spoke to, who went for the mediation committee, told me. They were not willing to disclose other matters that happened in there. And so we'll wait for the committee to come out with its final findings. Then we'll know what transpired in the settings and how they concluded whatever information they had. So that is what happened in Mensah yesterday.
Yes, I know you also engaged them when they were jubilating. Did they give you any indication as to why they were that jubilant?
Well, for them, they see an end to the long dispute in Boko that has claimed a number of lives. Those that I spoke to told me that currently the vibrant Boko, which business activities run 24 hours, is no more. Now, some government institutions have been shut down, and it's affecting them. So they see this mediation period as an end to the Boko conflict. And so they are excited that the government has taken an interest, and they are confident in the committee, hoping that the lasting solution would come to the community. And so some of them told me that was why they were jubilating, because a number of their brothers and sisters have relocated to Kumasi. They are not, because they feel no safe there. So they have to relocate, especially the youth. Every parent wants his son or daughter to vacate from Boko and go and settle in a different community, because they don't know what can happen in the course of the day. And so now that they are making progress in finding lasting solutions, everybody must be excited and their businesses will return to normal. And so these are their expectations from the mediation outcome.
Right. But then in terms of timelines, do we know how long they have to wait for the final report to be put out, so that at least there's a roadmap towards that?
At the moment, no timelines are given, but we can learn from how the Asantehene handled the GHOne crisis. When they finish their sentence like this, they are now going to put together their reports. Then after the report, there is going to be some mediations that will be done closed doors to convince other parties on why they should accept the outcome. Then after that, security arrangement, all those things have to be put in place before the final verdict will come out. And those that they deem that they need to speak to after they are done with their report, because the president commissioned this particular mediation committee. So when the reports go to him, national security also have a role to play, meeting various security agencies, meeting various stakeholders within that particular area. Some section of northern chiefs, they have to meet them. So all these things will go on. And so at the moment, one cannot predict how soon they are going to come out with a verdict. But I'm trying to paint a picture of the process that they use during the GHOne crisis mediation process. And so I believe that that's the same process that they are going to use before the final declaration will be made, so that peace can prevail there. And so it is not something that the verdict is expected to come, let's say, tomorrow or this month. But it's something that we're expecting that probably may go somewhere to either February or March, thereabout, depending on how the president will work on those things, yes.
Isaac Justice Bediako, thank you so much for giving us the update on the situation there. That's our man from the Ashanti region, so it's quite clear. We do not know the timelines yet, but we do know that definitely the committee will have to put together its report, like you said, presented to the president, and then we'll know the way forward.
But it's an exciting development.
Right.
Hopefully, we are able to reinforce this exciting development to ensure a lasting and sustainable peace in Boko.
Absolutely.
We are all fatigued, aren't we? As in talking about the media.
We are tired talking about Boko, and always for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. I mean, let's talk about Boko and be saying, okay, you know what, there's this factory that has been set up in Boko. It's employing young people. The young people that are excited. Young people from Boko are doing good things, like they're doing great innovations. Those are the things we want to talk about, not today someone's house has been torched, tomorrow this, that, this. Like we are
to go to Boku for housewarming parties because
you
castles
understand.
have been built,
You
mansions
get
have
it.
been built.
You get
and
it.
We've been invited to come and then do housewarming party.
Oh, I love that.
Those are the stories.
Come and chew a confirm
You see.
with some nice cow meat and all of that.
Beautiful.
That's I mean.
Beautiful.
Anyways, all right. So before we go, let's check out the papers this morning. Let's check out what they're reporting. So we start this morning with the Daily Post newspaper. Zipline drones delivering condoms as emergency services. Health Minister revealing the entire condom. Charlie, the zipline that are supposed to deliver essential medicines. Well, condoms are essential.
No, I'm asking. Is it an emergency pill?
Yeah, it's a contraceptive.
Okay.
It's a contraceptive
Yes.
that is used.
But there are other so there are other contraceptives that are emergency.
Yes, there's the emergency
Condom
pill.
is not one of them.
Okay.
You know, we just want to establish that fact.
Well, I want to know the communities. NHIS tariffs to rise 128% as Mahama Cares begins operations. NPA boss praises Ghana's religious harmony and tolerance. He has a picture of the chief imam, the national chief imam, His Eminence Sheikh Shaributu, and then the NPA boss, Godwin Eduji Tamaklo. And Tamaklo, we've been trying. I mean, please come to pick the calls. Government confirms petitions against EC chair, deputies and special prosecutor forwarded to Chief Justice, and that's also on the front page of the Daily Post newspaper this morning.
Well, so let me give you the daily guide this morning. Afoko Asabke freed over Adams Mahama murder, and Mahama Forest EC chair, SP removal petitions to Chief Justice, 7 petitions against the EC chair and her deputies, 3 against Kisi Ejebin. Yes. So why 7? One isn't one enough?
No, 7 for 3.
So 7, 3. Yeah. So I'm talking about the EC 7.
Yes.
So if you jump this one means if you jump that one, so you have to jump 7 times to keep your job.
How many lives does the cat have? 9.
9.
So like Charlie, reserve of 2.
Okay. So then Boku dispute mediation. 2-4 calls for calm, and Ace kills over 12,600 in 2024. This is real.
Say no to sex.
Say no to sex. Say no to unprotected sex. Pandai MP challenges rerun order at the Supreme Court. Yeah, so yesterday finally the judgment from the High Court in Tamale was out, and Martin Indam is headed to the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Anyways, well, the Daily Graphic this morning, banner headline, Boku conflict mediation, parties embrace after final meeting. Asante to present peace plan to President Mahama. There's also poor WASI results. Chief examiner's report should guide solutions, according to experts. Of course, yesterday we spoke to WAEC here, and they also alluded to the fact that, yes, indeed, we'll wait for the chief examiner's report to understand exactly what led to the mass failures, because social studies, the people still don't understand.
Yeah, but in the meantime, if you should stop, we go scatter them.
Yes.
Put down their phones.
And lend the paper.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
24-hour economy yields results. Vice President highlights gains, and that was at the AGI. And BOG prepares to license first non-interest bank. That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning.
The Ghanaian Times this morning. Let's promote sustainable food production. Minister urges corporate Ghana, and that's the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Upuku. NHIS tariff to be increased by 120%. That's according to the Health Minister. And Asante concludes Boku mediation, set to brief President Mahama. Killing of former NPP chairman, High Court discharges Gregory Afoko and Alangde Asabke. GPH's Dr. Ntribu Esiako named 2025 Public Sector PR Leader of the Year. That's according to Maritime. So that's it for the Ghanaian Times.
The Insight is what we have next. Says Ghana's rapid developments rests on its new crop of visionary leaders, says Nana Pra Ajinsem As he hails PK Mohammed's leadership cohort of graduates, GPHA's Kingsley Nchiboisiako named 2025 Public Sector PR Leader of the Year Maritime. There's also Anchorful Maximum Security Prison, honest philanthropist for outstanding support, and Goldfields Ghana Foundation sweeps awards at 9th edition of Sustainable Social Investment Awards. Traditional leaders flee from suits as Isaac Adibuete is accused of stirring trouble in okay. And then Palestine Ambassador Al Satari, PAT urged global support, demand justice on International Solidarity Day, and AFBA slums brazen military takeover in Guinea-Bissau.
A chronicle this morning, EC bosses, SP's days in office numbered. Question, asked President Mahama for his petitions for their removal to Chief Justice. Gregory Afuko, Asabke Alangde discharged, and KNUSC professor reveals Ghana can earn over $12 billion from cassava product. What happened to the president's special initiative on cassava?
Yes,
I used to start factory.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think we should revamp that factory. Yeah, we should revamp that factory.
The factories we need to revive.
Yes. Quotation for this morning, Psalm 21:11.
Call.
Though they intended evil against you and devised a plot, they will not succeed. So that's your enemy. Do you have enemies?
No, I mean Jesus had enemies, not me, Kodjo Mensah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but me, my enemies, they are very poor. Because if you make it a thing to
be an enemy to you.
me,
Yeah,
I mean, challenge, aim high.
Maybe they just dislike you. They don't qualify to be
They don't
your
qualify.
enemy.
They don't, people
to
just
be your
don't.
enemies,
Yeah, those people just don't like me.
Yeah,
so good morning to them.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing very well. I'm still here.
You've been getting all the attention from the girls, so they don't like that, right? Yeah.
Hey,
So,
good morning to my wife and my wife and my mother-in-law who are watching me this morning. Ibrahim Al-Hassan, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, according to the scripture. Though you intend evil against me and you devise a plot, engagement, you will not succeed. But thank you so much, Ibrahim Al-Hassan. That's the papers for you this morning. You can get copies from the newsstand and get details of your favorite stories as well. We'll take a breather. When we return, we'll get into the conversations.
internal primaries to select our flag bearer. So we are quite busy. We hope to finish in 2 months' time. And then we hand over the baton to NDC. This is also going to be very interesting. Because this will be the first time they will have a real competitive primaries, because they seem to always settle on one candidate. From President Rawlings, they smoothly handed over to President Mills through the Swedo Declaration. And because President Mahama had also become vice president and took over because of the untimely death of President Mills, he also took over smoothly, and then there wasn't the need to change him because he had been president already. But this time around, there's going to be a level playing field for a proper NDC primary. So we live to see if it will be controversial like ours, or they will just...
You admit yours is controversial so far?
Oh, it's been. I mean, I cannot... that's the nature of the people in the party.
Right.
We are in a party that everybody thinks they can lead. And if you look at our freedom of thought, the center-right policies and philosophies and ideals which underpin even positioning as a center-right party, it aligns with the kind of competitiveness that we see in our party. They are a socialist-oriented party. If you look at the socialist systems, they mostly settle on one leader. They don't have very competitive internal elections, whether it is the Soviets, whether it is the Chinese, whether it is the Eastern Europeans. If you look at how they choose their leadership, the socialists, their way of choosing leaders are different from the center-right parties, which are very competitive, mostly because of the philosophies underpinning the type of democracy we practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Very well. Council.
My brother. At least I'm happy that my brother admits that there's some controversy in their home.
He says he'll not run away from that, but he says yours would also be one to look out for.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It may be because, of course, we have to be anxious to see what will happen. This may, as he's recounted, may be the very first time that we are having a situation where the sitting president is not a candidate.
Yes.
Or perhaps a high-stake person is not a candidate. We've had, but it's not the case that we've had uncontested flag bearership contest. I mean, we've seen people contesting President Mahama in the past. We have also seen representatives being contested in the past. And so it is not entirely the case that there's not been contest. There's always been contest. Our party is also full of contests. But what we have done, and what we have done over the years and done it successfully, is that we've been able to build a more robust system that allows us to be able to reconcile even after a very rigorous campaign and contest. We are hoping and aiming that when the time is up, we'll also have a much smoother, and thanks to the leadership that President Mahama has shown over the time, that we'll have a much smoother contest than what we have seen from our friends. I mean, they are not a good example to refer to, but it's all right. We're not expecting that anything better would come from that side anyway, so it's all right. But we wish them well. Yes.
Well, time, they say, will tell. And the MPP we know by January 31st would have settled on a leader to lead the party. And they say once that is done, they'll take the back seat, get some popcorn, and watch the action movie that will happen in the NDC.
Exactly.
It won't be over for them. They will still have to now go and do reorganization of their party. Don't forget that for them, they are doing a bottom-up, top-up approach, where they decided to keep the same team over the issues that. But it is their case, and so we should leave it to them. If they decide to be incompetent in opposition, we cannot.
We've always done incident-free party elections, and we've always reconciled after elections. So it's not true that after our competitive internal elections, we are not able to come together. Right from 1992, when President Kufuor placed third, to 96 when he won, 2000 when he won again, all the candidates came together. Comrade Japon, who was the campaign lead for then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, became a cabinet member as a press aide for Nana Addo Dankwa for President Kufuor, which shows how the party is able to come together after election. Alan Chamatin, who always contested with President Akufo-Addo, also became a cabinet minister in all the 2 times that he served, until he thought his junior had overtaken him, so he will leave and form his own party. So, based on our record, I am very much sure we can reconcile.
But don't you have other fears that you might have further breakaways from the party, depending on the outcome of the elections?
I do not think so. If you look at our fourth Republican era history, all those who break away don't seem to do well. The NDC has a history. The Gusitanos, former elite First Lady, may her soul rest in peace, Mrs. Nana Kodjo, when he formed her own party, it didn't work out. We had the Bizidens and Beda Samuels forming DFP. And they all had to go back to the NDC because it didn't work. And we've also had some United Ghana Movement, UGM, from MPP, and others like the Movement for Change, which has now become the United UP. Look at the votes they got, 30,000 votes, the party 0.8% or so. So the incentive is not there for breakaway, unless you think you have achieved enough in your political career and you want to go and rest, which I think is the case for Honorable Alajamati.
Oh, you think he went to rest?
Oh, yeah, because 70 years, having served as cabinet minister ambassador for almost 16 years, he has seen it all. What is there for him to achieve again? And there's no way he can become president on the ticket of a smaller party or a third force. So it's done and over for him. So even the young people who followed him are coming back to the MPP because they know that if they want to be politically relevant, then they have to belong to a party. And of course, between MPP and NDC, they will choose the MPP over the NDC because they were in MPP first because they believed in our philosophy and ideals. And if because of some misunderstandings they left and it didn't work out for them there, why won't they come back? So the incentive for people to break away is not there. If you look at all the contestants, GHOne is a solid party person, a founding member who would stay with the party after the election. Dr. Aduchum has also benefited from the party, and he has a lot of potential. And if he loses, he can still be of importance, of use to a future MPP government. So that is the incentive for him to come back. Right. Yeah, if you look at Kennedy Japan and Brian Champo, they are business people. And their interests will be better served under an MPP government. Their businesses will be better protected. They will get the leverage and the network to do better businesses under an MPP government. It can never be sweeter with an opposition party than your own party. As the President Kufuor once said that it is better to be a messenger in a ruling party than to be a general secretary in an opposition party. So right. The incentive to break away is not there, unless, of course, you think you've gotten enough. And if you break away, your followers will not follow you. They will come back to the mother party.
Right. Interesting. We'll wait and see how all of that pans out.
Let's see how it goes.
Exactly. But let's get into the substantive matters for this morning.
Yeah.
And so we're told 7 petitions against the EC chair and her deputies, 3 against Kisi Jabing as special prosecutor. Now all ferried to President Mahama. He's also now ferried it to the Chief Justice. Let me start with you, Kofi, on this. Any surprises there for you?
No, I'm not surprised, Joshua. I'm not surprised because if you look at the petition for the removal of the EEC, similar to the petition which led to the removal of the Chief Justice, our brothers in the NDC spoke about it even in opposition. Because they thought the chair of the EC didn't do certain things right, and they thought they were biased against them. But politicians, I think we are quite stubborn. We never learn. If you will lose elections, it does not matter who is the chair of the EC. We won elections under Doc Afarijan, right? And we also won elections under Madam Charlotte Osei. And they have won elections under Madam G. Mensah, the biggest margin. So what is the point in going through all this just to weaken an independent constitutional body, to prove a point that somebody once removed an EC chair, so it is time for you to also remove it. I mean, constitutionally, the Constitution allows it. Article 146, and the grounds for removal are there. Stated misbehavior, incompetence, and then the inability to perform your responsibilities as EC chair in this case. So the law says it is there, but the law can be abused based on the case which is presented, based on the strength of the petition, based on the weight of the petition. The law can be abused. If you look at how the Chief Justice, for instance, was removed, a prima facie case was established according to the CJ, right? But when the contents of the petition came out, and independent people like the former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu, who is now a member of the Council of State and who had reason to disagree with MPP even when we appointed her as a Chief Justice. So obviously he has come out as somebody who has his own independent line of thought. You know, and said that
she's just a victim of the economic policies.
And said that, you know, she thinks the contents of the petition did not meet the threshold for the removal of a Chief Justice. And I agree with her. Because what did we hear? You know, that the Chief Justice traveled with her husband and spent some money that she was not supposed to spend. And that she transferred some charges, and because of that, it is what? Incompetence. Come on. Have you ever heard of any government official or any of the members of the other independent arms of government, like the legislature or the judiciary, being sanctioned, removed from office for transferring somebody? You know, it's very light in weight. We had other independent-minded people like Ansan Sari come to say, the Ghana Bar Association, which the NDC may say are pro-MPP, but have members from across the political divide, also came out to say, you know, the contents of the petition didn't meet the threshold for the removal of a CJ. Then, if we do these things, then we are setting a bad precedent for future governments to also abuse what is enshrined in Article 146 of the Constitution. That just because the Constitution says that somebody can submit a petition, the Chief Justice will form a committee and establish a prima facie case, and the President will forward it, and somebody will get a reason as grounds for removal. So because of that, any new government comes and decides to remove the Chief Justice, the chair of the Electoral Commission, or other independent constitutional bodies like JHAC, the NCCE, Audit Service, and others, then what nation will be building? They promise a reset. So even if they did not agree with certain actions of the past government, it doesn't mean they should come and repeat the same. We had two instances where heads of independent constitutional bodies were removed. The case of the Auditor General.
Daniel Adomelevo.
Yes, Mr. Adomelevo. And then the case of the Charlotte Osei. Let's start with Charlotte Osei's case. What were the contents of the petition? Procurement breaches. You know, if you look at the public procurement law, a breach of that act, you know, can send you to 5 years in prison. Public servants have been jailed in this country for breaching the PPA Act, and she didn't contest those grounds. You know, those were clearly stated misbehavior, you know, and how did her case even start? She wanted her deputies removed. So she started that case, and then they also petitioned against her and stated that she has also done A, B, C, and D. Okay, and then Chief Justice Sophia Kufu evaluated the petition and said there was a prima facie case, because we all know how the procurement law has helped us with checking of corruption.
Right.
Because of the previous arbitrariness in award of contracts and the disregard, because we didn't even have a procurement law before President Kufu. The PPA Law Act was passed during President Kufu's regime. So post-President Kufu, we've had certain people actually being sent to jail because they breached the procurement law.
Right.
So if you are head of an independent constitutional body like the Electoral Commission and you breach procurement laws and you are removed, I don't think, you know, the weight didn't meet the threshold.
So the grounds were there?
The grounds were solid. I think the grounds were solid.
Okay.
And the weight met the threshold for removal of the head of the constitutional body. In the case of Honorable Adomelevo, we had the Supreme Court in 2023 rule that, you know, the president erred in taking that decision. Mm-hmm. So it has become a standard that the president cannot sit in his office and remove the head of an independent constitutional body on grounds of accumulated leave, because it was perceived that that is an administrative role which should have been performed by the head of human resources of the audit service, because going on leave is an internal administrative matter. So when I look back at what the Supreme Court did then, and the fact that NDC brothers and other civil society organizations and some members of the general public who don't side with the MPP tagged the Supreme Court as unanimous FC, then I get disappointed. Because when the president, they pointed out to him that the removal of GHOne was wrong because the grounds were administrative issues which should have been handled internally by the audit service. That is how we build a democracy.
Right.
The separation of powers, the different types of government, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, they all have their role to play in consolidating our democracy. So we have to make sure and check that we don't do new government, removal of heads of independent heads of constitutional bodies to weaken the independent arms of government, the other arms of government, which hold the executive in check, or remove the other heads of independent, constitutional bodies. Because it happens like that. You weaken the institution, they will become timid, they cannot act when they have to do, and it will become a one-arm government. Because look at the current state of our governance. We have a supermajority at the legislature. The NDC is able to push their things through because of the very nature of compensation for the legislature, which is an issue we have to look at. The legislature depends on the executive to survive. So more often than not, the executive is able to control the legislature because even if you are in parliament, you need a board appointment or a ministerial or deputy ministerial appointment to get some strength to be able to even look after your constituency. So that those issues are there already. So parliament is compromised naturally because of the nature of our governance structure and how our governance systems are set up. So you don't weaken the other ones like the judiciary, electoral commission, audit service, charge, and the other independent constitutional bodies which have some insulation because they are not directly under the executive. They are not directly controlled by the executive. They have some, long, tenure of office, right. 7 years, 5 years, 6 years, depending on the office. So they can focus on putting the executive in check and making sure corruption is checked. My fear now is that if you are not careful, and any reasons at all is used to remove heads of independent constitutional bodies, it will serve bad precedent for future governments to also come and remove anybody. Because if transfer has been used as grounds to remove a chief justice, if spending of some few thousands of cedis has been used as grounds, on per diem to remove chief justice, we watch Public Accounts Committee all the time. When people, do such infractions, they are surcharged. That's the worst case. I've not seen any public servant being removed from office because of, a per diem infraction.
Right.
Or a transfer infraction. If it's such bad precedent, then in future, less weighty issues could be used to remove heads of other arms of government. You feel that
these petitions that have been brought against Kiseja Bing and then the EC chair and her deputies...
That is my fear, especially with regards to the Electoral Commission, because of comments our brothers and sisters in the NDC made when they were in opposition. They made similar comments about the Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary, and she has been removed.
Okay.
Similar comments were made about the chair of the EC and her deputies in opposition, and the petition has been submitted. I don't know much about the special prosecutor. A lot of people think the office has not served its purpose because he's not gotten major convictions and all. So we wait to see the kind of evidence which will be adduced or what will be contained in the petition.
Right.
It is a constitutional provision, Article 146. So if the weight meets the threshold for removal, I do not have a problem with it. But if they don't, then they will serve a bad precedent for future governments to also remove heads of other constitutional bodies. And every president will come with their charge head, EC head of the judiciary, head of audit service. And what kind of democracy will we be practicing with such an arrangement? Unless we want to dilute our democracy and weaken our democratic system, then we can say that because maybe somebody erred in the removal of a former head of the audit service in the past, I'm also doing the same just to balance the equation.
Okay. Well, we've also been joined in studio this morning by Kwame Jantua. He's a private legal practitioner and a member of the CPP. Counsel, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you're well too.
I'm fine.
Yes.
Good morning to my fellow panelists. And good morning to Ghanaians.
Absolutely. So let me come to you, Lamtig,
Yes.
because Kofi says he has fears. Are those fears justified?
Well, I don't think you should worry. I don't think you should worry because these are lawful procedures that are being used.
Okay.
And it is a part of our legal arrangement in our constitution that where there is grounds or where a citizen thinks that he has reasonable grounds to petition for the removal of heads of such institutions, that individual, that person, that citizen has a right to file a petition. And that petition, there are mechanisms that it goes through. Now, we only get worried if the removals are done without recourse to the legal processes. But if we are going through the legal processes, then we shouldn't worry. Indeed, a while ago, when they filed similar applications against Charlotte Osei's removal, there were concerns raised. And we heard clearly when our brothers told us that we can go to court or we should respect the legal processes. Indeed, it was a legal process that were activated, and that same legal process has been activated today. Unfortunately, we don't have the content of the petitions, so we cannot discuss the merit, and we are not even supposed to do so.
Absolutely.
So let's allow the process to go on. But what I want us to move away from is where we think that independent constitutional bodies are also not subjected to the accountability of the citizens. These are mechanisms that to ensure accountability, so that if you are an independent constitutional body and you are head there, you should play by the rules, follow the rules, and do what is right.
But the argument is that the grounds in the case of the removal of the CJ, for instance, they argue that the grounds does not merit the removal. Whereas with the Charlotte Osei issue, they believe that there was solid grounds for her removal.
You see, public opinion and individual opinion will not be the basis for which the committee will do this work. What is the threshold? Corruption is corruption. Is there a threshold for corruption? A while ago, my brother was saying that, for a few cities, is there a threshold for corruption? In fact, these are the people who are supposed to hold the highest standard of corruption. Judges. And so if a judge in any way is accused of misapplying or misappropriating public funds in a manner that is not provided for by law,
is there any decided case on that?
There may not be, but that could be the precedent. You understand? Why must we wait for other precedents? I mean, if you're talking about people who appear, wait a minute. You are talking about people who appear before Public Accounts Committee. Yeah. You are talking about District Assembly, DCs, and heads of institutions. We are talking about the Chief Justice, for crying out loud. The threshold should be even higher for the Chief Justice than any other public officer, because when all other fail, the Chief Justice is the one who must hold us all accountable.
Right.
And
continue. That's assuming without admitting it was justified. Her lawyer and her team thinks there were grounds for the spending of that money, and it was justified. It was approved in her conditions of service, and they made their case, and they still stand by it. And I agree with them. So I play the devil's advocate. Even assuming without admitting that she erred by spending per diem on her husband, it is a surcharge which usually, happens
in such matters,
and not removal and forfeiting your entitlement. So, my brother, you can continue.
She's supposed to be held to higher and stricter
you can continue.
modes of accountability.
Absolutely. And so you don't think that it should be enough to say, oh, you'll be set charged and go away. Then what example are you setting? If the Chief Justice can get away with it, then others can also do it and go away with it. And so there's a need for us to hold certain officers with higher standards than others. And perhaps that may account for why the committee came to that conclusion.
Right.
And of course, I don't expect you to disagree with the lawyers, because I mean we've held the view that the NPP has been on the side of the former Chief Justice, and it is not so strange that you would expect that her lawyers who have been hired to work for her would not speak on her behalf and advance her cause. That's what it is. But what is more important is the conclusion that the committee reached. Now let's even move away from that and agree that, listen, every independent public officer is accountable to the state, accountable to the people. There are rules and regulations governing your office. And if you don't go by that, forget about the fact that NDC is in power today. If tomorrow another party comes and there's a need to remove someone and there are stated misbehavior, incompetence, or inability to perform your duties, let the law take its course.
To remove somebody on the basis of a transfer he did as head of independent.
There are rules governing transfers.
No, it's a yes or no question.
I won't answer yes or no. Right. Why? Because the set of facts will differ from one to other. We must look at every case on its merit. You understand? We must look at every case. We can't just set a blanket rule and say, oh, yes and no. Even there are rules governing transfers. And so if you follow the rules and you play by the rules, why not? But if you fail to do it, I have the right to say that, listen, my right has been infringed upon. And in fact, it is because we had not even finished hearing all the petitions. The other petition brought by the other gentleman, if you listen to it carefully, he was in court. He had a matter that the court decided upon. He passed comment. Immediately, he was cited for contempt. Why? Are you saying that if you TJ, the guy was held in. The guy was held in. But she was presiding. If you are presiding, who is in charge?
Absolutely.
Who is in charge? Come on. Who is in charge?
The Supreme Court panel.
But who is in charge?
Come on.
The presiding judge
The
at
Supreme
the time.
Court works with majority decisions.
My brother, let's not do this. At the time, it wasn't a decision that was to be taken by the panel. It was a decision by the presiding judge.
Okay.
You understand? But be as it's made, the decision has been made. Let's move forward. For me, what is important is that the system has activated. Let it go through. The heads have an opportunity to defend themselves. If there's no merit in any of the petitions, let the decision be taken. If there's merit in it, so be it. Let's begin to strengthen our institutions. Let's begin to respect the fact that nobody is untouchable in this country.
Right.
Everyone is accountable to the rules and regulations of this country. Once there are laws governing your operation, your conduct as a public officer, you must conduct yourself in accordance with those rules and regulations, so that when there's a need for you to be accountable, you would come by the defense of the law. But on one hand, you would go contrary to the law, and when you are held accountable, you say, oh, it doesn't meet the threshold. What's the threshold? This argument about threshold has been put out there in public domain. What is the threshold? There's no such thing as a threshold for a Chief Justice and a threshold for other persons. Once a prima facie case has been established, the matter must be referred to a committee. The committee investigates. You are given the opportunity to be heard. And I heard my brother talking about the manner in which she was removed. What was the manner? She was afforded all the opportunities as she would be given in any legal process. Mm-hmm. She had opportunity to defend herself. She had opportunity to put her case across. And sometimes I find it very difficult for people to make reference to former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo saying that, oh, she is independent and spoken. Indeed, she suffered as a victim of an economic decision, the haircut. Mm-hmm. And she joined other persons who are victims to protest against the government at the time. That did not make her independent. Imagine if she didn't suffer that consequence. Would she have been out there on the streets? So let's be mindful how we are quick to see people and judge them, place them in a box and say that these persons appear as... So you appointed an NPP person on your Council of State? No, but the law requires that former Chief Justice should be on that.
We saw how you guys
Take your time. Take your time and appreciate this. The law allows that.
Push out our people, even in the competitive elections in Kumasi and others. Because you didn't want blue-colored people in.
That is not true. That is not true. So for me, I think that the law is taking its course, right, and we must allow it to go.
So how then do you respond to allegations that this was all pre-planned? In fact, the petition's been brought in to remove the head of the Electoral Commission, her deputies, and even the special prosecutor. It's all in a playbook, and we are just seeing it manifest, and not necessarily because you're following due process.
I don't think so. I mean, they may be having comments in the past by members of the NDC in respect of removal. And in fact, I also hold that view. I hold the view that the EC chair and some of her deputies, particularly run up to the elections, did not conduct themselves well. And I held the view that they don't even deserve to be in their office. In fact, if you look at their conduct in respect of SAL, particularly, then they didn't even need to be in their office. They should voluntarily have bowed out. You understand? But those comments should not be seen as the official position of the NDC at the time. These are comments of individual political actors who made comments in that regard. Now, what is standing out is not a playback of things that we said that we will do. I hold the view that the EC chair and her deputies should have bowed out long ago as far as SAL is concerned. How do you deny the people of SAL 4 years without representation in Parliament? Is that good enough? And expect to still be in office. That is a good basis for their removal. But since the petitions are not known to us, let's leave the merits and the content of it for further discussion.
Very well. Well, let me bring Lawyer Jantwa in now. Counsel, so this is where we are. Petitions presented to the president. He's ferried them to the Chief Justice to make determinations on them. And it's quite interesting because it has to do with the EC chair, her deputies, and also Kisija being a special prosecutor. Your thoughts on that?
You know, it's the commentaries that we make that add salt and pepper to the soup. For me, anything that has got to do with the law, let the law take its course. The commentaries spike it, and the politicians now turn it into a bandwagon and hit everybody with the commentary. And people listen to the commentary instead of knowing what the law states. So, for this particular situation, which is similar to the Chief Justice, what does the law say? It says, and this is 146 of the Constitution, 1463 says, I quote, if the president receives a petition, has the president received a petition?
Yes.
Yes. For the removal of a justice of a Supreme Court other than the Chief Justice, or for the removal of the chairman of a regional tribunal, he shall refer the petition to the Chief Justice. Has it been referred to the Chief Justice?
Absolutely.
Yes. Who shall determine whether there is a prima facie case? Has the Chief Justice come out to say anything as yet?
Not yet.
No. If he finds there's a prima facie case, isn't it evidence? Isn't it evidence? Would they not be given the chance to come defend themselves of what they are accused of? They will. So for me, what's the wahala? If they come and defend themselves and their defense is solid, will they remove them? They won't. But if they can't defend themselves and it has to go an extra mile into the next process, it will. And we're all here. But it's the commentary. Media. Because for media, it sells the channel. It sells papers. As my brother said, so far as he is concerned, nobody wants to know how you are concerned about it. You might have your own point of view about it, but it shouldn't be part and parcel of that kind of process. So what we do in Ghana is that the person is judged by the public before they even get into the box. And sometimes it doesn't help. And sometimes the individuals themselves don't help. The former Chief Justice didn't help herself. Going round having press conferences and all that. You had your evidence. Keep your evidence for the time that you are called to come and defend
She felt the
yourself.
committee was not being fair to her.
Does she have the right to say the committee is not fair to me? She might have the right. But she went in. Did they question her? Yes, they questioned her. Did they find that her answers did not hold water? Yes, they did. Me, I kept saying, Adam, and she's my friend. If they say go and you've defended yourself, keep your integrity and leave. I'm on the GMPC board today. If the president comes or somebody comes and says, Kwame Janto has done ABCD and I know I haven't done it and I can prove that I haven't done it, I will just pack my bags and go. It's not my father's job.
Yeah, you think if the threshold is not met, we shouldn't judge and discuss
the threshold?
It.
What is the threshold?
We are all reasonable. We are all reasonable people.
Let's
yes, other than that, Article 146 is subject to abuse. It can be abused by any president.
What is the threshold?
You know,
wait. You said it will be abused by any president.
Yes.
Who brought in the petition? Is it an individual or the president?
It doesn't matter. The president can sponsor somebody behind the scenes.
I think that we're moving the conversation to a different
NDC members made all sorts of comments.
What is the
Lawyer,
threshold?
in opposition. NDC people made all sorts of comments in opposition.
Wait.
They would wish Sarah Sosai and the CG be removed.
Right. So you're trying to infer that the individual who brought... Wait, please wait. The individual who brought the petition brought it under the guise of the president. Is that what you're trying to refer to?
No.
Or let's say, wait. Let's say, I won't even pinpoint the president. Any president. An individual has brought a petition against the chief justice, against X, against Y.
Yes.
And because the opposition party says something in opposition, be it MPP, NDC, the person who brought that petition is doing it under the guise of the president.
I'm saying
Do you have proof of that?
I'm saying that we should use merit.
What merit are you talking about?
To decide if the threshold for removal.
What is the threshold?
And confidence, that's the question that they keep posing. What is the definition?
How do lawyers and judges decide and determine cases? One, decided cases.
No, you're jumping the gun. Please.
Wait. So both of them here are lawyers.
Wait.
Decided get some education on that.
Wait.
Yes, Mr. Yanta.
You're jumping the gun.
I'm not.
The first process is there a prima facie case?
We can always hide behind the process.
No.
In my deliberation, Joshua,
I think that we should hold on.
I said that.
He's the one advancing this argument about threshold.
Yes.
What is the threshold?
The threshold for the removal of Chief Justice, as far as incompetence is concerned, should be a serious issue of the CJ of the EC not being able to undertake
Define serious.
What is serious?
Define serious.
Define serious. Misinterpreting maybe a judgment that has been forwarded to him from a lower court. Vacating post.
Are you quoting any authority in this? No, wait. So are lawyers here. Let me help you here.
Stated misbehavior should be a serious breach of his duty.
What do you use in measuring that gravity?
What do you use to measure?
What are the duties of the CJ?
Right.
He's supposed to be the Chief Justice. He's supposed to be to superintend over, issues concerning the judiciary. He's the head of the judiciary. He's supposed to preside most of the time on important cases. I'm sure if you give me 1 minute, I can just use AI. Give me 1 minute. Or Google to list the duties of a CJ. The main responsibilities of a CJ. When the CJ,
I have a challenge here.
is not able to discharge.
You are not asked the question. What are the duties of the CJ?
Right.
You are asked. You keep pushing the idea that
if the CJ is not able to,
you say keep pushing the argument doesn't meet the threshold.
If the CJ,
so your definition of the threshold is the core duties of the CJ.
That's not the threshold.
duties.
That's not the
It
threshold.
cannot be the core duties.
anything that contravenes her duties. Yes, any
Conduct is part and parcel of whatever
all
threshold
of them
he's
will be
talking
in
about.
relation
But
to her
Kofi,
duties. Yes.
I hope you're listening to the point
Yes.
Mr. Jaffa is making, that it's not just about the core duties and responsibilities.
No, it's not
A breach of duty is not part of the conduct. We are saying the same thing.
It's not a
We are saying the same.
even breach
We are
of the
saying
duties per se.
the same thing. We
You
are saying
have
the
been
same
asked
thing.
a simple question. You have been pushing this narration, threshold. We ask, what is the threshold?
Yes.
You haven't been able to provide any definition. All you keep making reference to, and the word, the commanding word, serious. What then is even serious? What's the depth?
I have
How do
given you an
measure the
example
seriousness?
that
Let me give you an
a
example.
transfer issue is not a serious
wait,
issue.
Let me
hold
give,
on.
We all know.
let me give you
Yeah.
an example
It's not
of
a
the
serious
Prime
issue.
Minister in the UK, Brown. What happened to him? Forgot the mic was on his lapel. What did he say? And what was the result of what he said? Did they not find that as misconduct? Just a comment. Just a comment.
It depends on what the comment affects.
Aha!
Depends.
Aha!
So Joshua, I just googled it.
Now it depends.
Yes, it depends.
Look, that comment could be misconduct.
What is the damage of
That comment-
of a transfer to the judiciary regarding the duties of a CJ? That is how you have to measure that conduct and
Of a
situate
transfer,
it
of a transfer
of
of
a
a judge.
Yes, the basis and the grounds for the transfer were justified, that it wasn't done out of bad faith.
How do you know?
But it has been used
how do you
because
know?
of the reasons
How
advanced.
do you
determine that?
Even admit,
How do you determine that?
assuming,
How do you
even
determine
assuming
that?
without admitting
Right.
she erred in the transfer, do you think these duties of a CJ, influencing legal precedent, writing or assigning opinions, her ceremonial duties as a judge, she abandons it, that would be a serious breach of her duties. You know, leading the judiciary, managing the Supreme Court, assigning judicial workload, and all these things, and it's time for her to assign work and she abandons posts.
So for you, this is what should serve
These
as
are
grounds.
serious implications
Okay.
on her role as a CJ,
Right.
but not a CJ who has transferred a judge because of ABCD.
For me,
Are
And
you
use
aware
that?
that transfers
For
can be
me-
used to
Because I
abuse?
will not be happy if tomorrow another president,
Right.
irrespective of the party, whether MPP or NDC, uses, a reason of transfer to remove any judge of the Superior Court or the Judiciary,
Okay.
whether a High Court judge, an appeals court judge, or that is the bad precedent. We don't have to lower the bar.
Look, just a minute.
So far as the threshold
I
is
was on
concerned,
the
lawyer.
floor. I was on the floor. And
Yes,
you came in.
continue.
Look,
Yeah.
look. There is a culture that we need to break. Tell me, we have had NDC MPP. Does it not always happen in this Fourth Republic?
Yeah. Exactly.
Hasn't it happened all the time? Out, in, out, in. That causes financial loss to the state. Why do I say that? We spend money in training people to take certain responsibilities and take certain positions. We should get to a point where we can trust each other, irrespective of the political party that's in power is in opposition. In this country, we don't do that. Yes, I do agree there are certain sensitive positions that you want your people to be in there. But you don't go into a ministry and change everybody.
But that hasn't happened.
It's happening.
That
Wait.
hasn't happened.
Wait.
That hasn't happened.
Wait.
It
please.
hasn't happened.
Let me finish.
Well, Councillor, let me make
Let
the
me
point.
finish. Let
Right.
me finish. In the past, you go to the Ministry of Energy, people have been changed. Where's this person? They are no more here. Where's this person? No more. New people.
But lawyer,
And it's happened both MPP and this. This time round, you can see that some members, some people within institutions have been are still in place,
Yes.
are retained. But that should that should be a constant thing where we can remove certain top brass people, but those in there. But your party did it. Look. Minister of Energy, go and find out.
Right.
Chief Director was removed. New one was brought in.
Dissolved all boards.
You see.
Okay.
Look, they transfer you to another place. Listen. You see, the thing you're forgetting is that
Mr. Joshua's argument is that we spend money in training
the
these
thing you
people
forget
for
is that
these institutions.
the intellectual property a chief director has in 8 years, you remove them and put them somewhere else. Please, why don't you leave them there?
Right.
The institution, Reshuffle for what? No, reshuffle for what?
So, Mr. Janta,
I'm not going to mention names, but I know.
We lose quality with people who have institutional knowledge based on, we sacrifice them on the grounds of politics.
Why do you want to rotate them?
Sometimes their capacities are even needed in certain ministries.
Okay.
I know.
And sometimes they go to certain ministries, they are starting afresh.
So some of these ones are punishment, actually.
It could be.
It
could be.
Who was used
It
to
could
start
be.
the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs at the chief director there because there's a new ministry.
Mine is.
Dr. Agri. And they used him to set up. And after that, he was brought to the office of the head of civil service.
We'll have to move
Mine is there's a process already in the law.
Okay.
Which is being followed. Let's see the end point of it. At this moment, we don't have the evidence against the special prosecutor.
Yes.
We don't have the evidence against the EC chair. Let's see how this travels.
Absolutely.
And let's be objective about anything that comes up. And stop the politics and the politicization of these things. Stop it. Because if they've done wrong, they've done wrong.
Right.
Some of the things that happened in the last party with regards to Electoral Commission, there were a lot of question marks which need to be answered. If it's part and parcel of the case against her, she will come and explain, won't she? And we'll all sit and we'll listen to it. If she makes sense, we'll say, so was that it?
Yeah.
Move forward.
Right.
Simple.
Right.
There are much more important things to handle in this country than sitting and commenting about this. Because law is what is governing this particular issue. Let's move on and stop the politicization of it.
Right. All right, so let's move quickly to the whole issue surrounding the BEC. The WASI rather. And mass failure in some core subjects has raised eyebrows. And again, Mr. Jantwa, politicization has entered into the fray, even though we are just talking about education, by the way. When you look at the commentary on social media, sometimes it's very troubling for me. But the fundamental problem is that some way, somehow, our children are not doing well, or did not do well in this particular WASI. Council, I'm sure you've seen the release from WAEC as well, and we are waiting for the Chief Examiner's report to get to know exactly the full details. But on the face of it,
I have seen the report, and it's quite troubling. And for everybody who is a Ghanaian, particularly parents, should be concerned. Should be concerned because, see, whether it's NDC, MPP, doesn't really matter. The WASI graduates or persons who wrote the exams are both NDC and MPP, and they are Ghanaians, and that's what we should be concerned about.
True.
But we should be all concerned because we need to know what caused these failures, what led to these failures, what do we need to do to put in measures to ensure that we don't have this thing happening. In fact, the world has moved on so well that there's improvement in technology, there's improvement in health, there's improvement in well-being. We should see improvement in certain things, not to see retrogression. So anytime we see retrogression in our educational sector, we should be getting worried. More worried because secondary school is a very critical part of human development. Sure. Because see, you can spend another 3-4 years trying to reorganize yourself to find your way around again. And I know people who struggle to go through remedial classes over and over, and they even have to take a detour to other courses and eventually have to find their way back to where their original course was. And so it is very important that we don't tolerate with this. But for me, it's also a reflection of how we managed the educational sector in the past. Because we can't expect to manage it badly and get a good result. We saw how we implemented the free SHS and the haphazard way in which some students were going to school for 2 weeks and come home, stay home for another 1 month, go home for 2 weeks, and they are back again. There was no standardized timetable.
Okay.
There were challenges with textbooks, and even took us several years and we didn't have textbooks. And then magically, we heard that the government was paying for the production of past questions to be provided to students to aid them pass exams. If you don't have textbooks, how then do you use past questions to pass exams? And then critical part of it all is contact hours. All what we are doing, we've forgotten that secondary school education in Ghana used to be 7 years. when you did the O levels and then go to do your A levels, 7 years. If we see that there's a need to now compress it into a 3-year program in the past 4 years and later came to 3 years, and that because we have inadequate space, we have to now introduce an in-out system, then we should consider to look at the issue of contact hours. Once students are not having enough contact hours in the classrooms, obviously the quality of studies and delivery will be poor and will reflect in the examination. Right. And that is exactly what we have seen. I mean, there may be other external factors like distractions from TV, mobile phones and all that. But what is very core is the fact that we haven't been able to pay attention to our school management very well. We saw situations in the past where even feeding was a challenge. Today, we are seeing an improvement in feeding. And I'm hoping that the management of our educational system will take a critical review of what has happened, and based on that, will review certain things and bring in measures at least to avoid this from reoccurring. Okay. It is painful to see students who suffer from this because eventually they would have to find their way in life. And what's going to happen is a burden on parents, burden on society, and burden on everybody. And we've wasted money trying to train them and unfortunately turn out this way. Perhaps we need to look at what happened with the educational system in the last 3-4 years. And if about time, we'll review everything. Okay. If it will mean increasing the number of years to 4 years so that we can have enough contact hours for student, teacher, then perhaps we need to do it. Because bear in mind, in the past, we stayed in school for 3 years. We had a fixed 3-term a year, academic year in school. And yet we're able to struggle and make our way through. And this time around, the students are having less time. They go in, they come out, they go in, they come out, and it's not helping. It clearly tells us that the management in the past wasn't good enough. And so we need to look at it and see how we can improve it.
Right. Kofi?
I'll start from where my brother ended. Free SHS rather increased contact hours. So the fact that we had double track, for instance, doesn't necessarily mean the contact hours for the students were reduced. So if you look at the analysis Dr. GHOne, Dr. Napo used to do when question of double track were raised, they all explained that the contact hours had actually increased, And then this issue of 4-year duration for the free SHS system, it was the same NDC government which reversed it. President Kufuor set up a committee. I don't know if it was GHOne committee, and they recommended this. With a lot of expert advice from the University of Education and University of Cape Coast. But when they took over, they reversed it. Because if you remember, when President Mills took over, we were handing over a 4-year batch to them, but they reversed it. That is why, as a country, we should not politicize certain things. Education, health, environmental issues like Galamsey, security, like the Wako conflict and those issues, we should not politicize them. But politicians never learn. Anytime it suits us, we do politicize it. Then they see bastardize the free SHS system so much when they were in opposition. To the extent of even saying that when they come into power, they will eliminate double track in the very first year. We are in the second year. They've read their budget. They've read their second-year budget, and we don't see that level of infrastructure in the plan which can eliminate.
Who says we shouldn't politicize it? It's now moving into politics.
I'm curing what you did yesterday. Yes,
I thought a while ago you said that we shouldn't politicize it. You start nicely, and then now you move into the idea of what NDC and what NDC.
Let me make his point.
We started the program, so the politicization started with NDC. But if you had joined hands with us and said, "Oh, it's good," the Constitution talks about progressively free education. You did some subsidies, but the MPP has taken it to the next level of making it entirely free at the second cycle institution. So it's good. Every program starts with challenges. Yeah. So let's deal with the challenges. We did over 3,000 infrastructure projects as part of the program or the project intervention to eliminate double track. But it was not enough to go to my school, Poko in Kumasi. Yes, I have the get fund sheet here. I can mention the number to you. We have new dormitories. we have, so the truth is that about 400 of the schools out of the over 700 are no more doing double track because of this infrastructure intervention that was done. So it was good we started, because if you look at even the increase in gross tertiary enrollment from some 16% to over 20 to 21% now, it shows that the free HS system has educated more people and has, given us a higher enrollment rate at the tertiary level, which is good for the country. Because if you look at the Japans and the Chinas and all these developed countries, their gross tertiary enrollment ratio is very high. And all the developed countries have higher in indexes when it comes to the tertiary. So if you are educating only 20% of your youthful population at the tertiary level, it will have an effect on your development, because you are not even getting the needed manpower.
Right.
Even though potentially we are blessed and we are talented, but if you are not prepared and nurtured and grouped, you cannot be of use to the country. So let us admit that it is good we started the free SHS program, and government after government will come and deal with the challenges instead of bastardizing it. And, and it is never true that the results we are having now is because of the issues associated with the free SHS system.
Right.
Because we had worst results before free SHS. I have here the 2014 WASI fail rate. It was 72%, one of the worst in recent decades. Prof was the education minister, our current vice president, Her Excellency was the education minister then. And this is what we got. There was no free SHS then. There was no double track. I can go to the 2015 figures. I can go to the 2016 figures. We had worse figures during pre-SHS, pre-free SHS era than we are having during the free SHS era. So scientifically, it is not true. And what is WAEC saying? They are the governing council of the examination. So let's listen to what their head of PR is saying. And this is just core mathematics. The head of PR of WAEC, John Kapi, has attributed a sharp decline in core mathematics performance, to specific skill gaps among the students. So he has the privilege of seeing the examiner's report before the full one even comes out. So he has it. And he's talking about specific areas that the students were weak, for which reason they couldn't answer the questions well. These areas were representing mathematical information in diagrams, solving global mass-related problems, constructing cumulative frequency tables, marking deductions from real-life problems. So scientifically, this is how we need to appraise and assess the performance of our students. How did they fail? How come 1 out of every 4 students who wrote core maths failed? But I think the failure rate is 26% or so. And the PR is telling us what the chief examiners are saying. So now you go back and look at the mode of instruction, the curriculum. He has emphasized here that it is in the syllabus. All these areas are in the syllabus. So it's not a question of bringing, out of syllabus issues. Is it because of the pattern of the questions that come over the years? Because I remember in 1991, when we wrote our SSC, there was a paradigm shift from how integrated science questions were set. So those of us who did science, we were able to do it because we have the benefit of, chemistry, physics, biology. So we were able to pass. But the arts and business students, they couldn't get strong passes because that was the first year they brought in some practical issues. Science on highly inflammable containers and all those things, which had never been asked in exam questions. They were in the syllabus, but because the lecturers or the teachers usually use the pattern to teach questions, that there will be a chemical reaction question, there will be this question from heat or light from physics, there will be that. They always predict 90% of the time. Right. They get
so we should assess.
So we should do scientific assessment.
Okay.
And go back and see the curriculum which has been developed, whether the teaching aligns with the curriculum, and whether there has been any lapse in supervision. The circuit supervisors who go to the various, schools to do the supervision. And as far as the examination malpractices is concerned, we even had more issues, in some years than we are having in recent times when people have sought to attribute the success to examination malpractice. Even this year, a lot of papers were cancelled. So you will never have an incident-free examination by the West African Examination Council. It will never happen because people will always try to cheat. But for some schools, the head teachers will never allow it. I remember being told in Upokore School then when we entered in 1997 that here if you cheat, that Pa Berkon, who then was the head of Conference of Assistant Secondary Schools, our headmaster, he is the one who handed you over to the YE students so that the entire exams will not be cancelled.
Yeah.
You understand that? Yes, and these schools are so disciplined. And even in all this mass failure and all that, you realize that if you go to top schools like my school, Wesley Girls and Presec and the rest, they would have done better. What are they doing? And my brother mentioned the issue of past questions. When we met them on campus at KA University, the ladies had better grades than us, even though we had all qualified and passed and entered KA University to do better courses. But when it came to the intellect and performing in class, we realized that we were actually ahead of most of the ladies. But they came with better grades because they were using past questions, international best practices, models, and then the discipline on campus. Even the teaching alone. The headmistresses do not give space to the teachers to mix classes. You will go to a boys' school, and in a week, a particular master will never come to class. The boys will go and learn on their own. Main school, it happens. You cannot do that. You cannot do that at St. Louis. You cannot. High standard of discipline.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of people go there.
Right.
And we started some of those school concepts. Dr. GHOne started that we should gauge the performance of these schools, and align them with others, and bring even teachers who are experienced in these environments to the new school. So he will set up Bosonche Girls Secondary School and bring somebody from Wesley Girls to head it, to try to bring the good practices of Wesley Girls in these schools, so that learning spirit and that disciplined environment will be inculcated in the students. So it's a holistic issue.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm quite passionate about education because my father was a teacher. But I follow it a lot.
Right.
So we should do a holistic assessment scientifically, have KPIs for the teachers, have specific measures for those KPIs. And then when there's a drop in not meeting those KPIs, we go back and track and see why we didn't meet those benchmarks, and then go back and resolve those issues other than the politics that we do all the time.
Fantastic. Council.
For me, it's a cocktail of various issues to be looked at. And I don't want us to politicize it. It's a cocktail of plenty things. This particular set is what? The old format form 3, right? One thing we tend to forget is the maturity of the student.
Okay.
When I was in secondary school, I did Form 1. Right now, what happens? There are some people who don't make it and are thrown off the heap. Thrown off the heap. And look, President Nkrumah saw it. So what did he do? He brought in vocational institutions because he realized it's not everybody who can do bookwork. When I was in primary school, they taught us how to do in Sano Juma, weaving of baskets, all these types of things. I learned it in school. Farming. I learned it in primary school. You set the child's mind as they go along. And as you go along in primary school, your teachers are assessing. Who assesses anybody to help them even move from that point on. Our education is not skewed towards the challenges we face. How for exams, it doesn't care whether the questions are difficult or easy. You, the student, yours is to study. And yes, we all used Pasco. We all used Pasco. Did you ever use the slide rule?
No, yesterday.
Did you use the slide rule?
Yesterday I was told about it.
Did you use the slide rule? Did you use the slide rule?
But we were using calculators then.
Did you use the slide rule?
No, we never did.
Look,
We didn't use it, but I saw some.
I was an art student. I never understood slide rule. I never
Your teacher was
understood.
bad.
My teacher was good, but I never. I was bad. My teacher wasn't bad because my teacher would make sure that I would understand it, but my mind
was not comprehending.
I was never good.
Maths is not your thing.
Wait. I was never good at chemistry, but I could do physics, I could do biology. Why? But bring arts, geography, English, it goes to show that, look, and you see, the other thing we don't have in our education system today, and you go to the schools, is career development.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's career development.
There's no time.
Nobody guides the children. Look, I'm chairman of the Ghana Energy Awards. When we have an outdoor outreach program for the personality, male and female, they go into the schools and tell the schools how they also made it to encourage them. When we finish, the number of children that come and ask us, so we want to do this subject, what can we do? Where would it take us?
Yeah.
And not only one school, even Achimota, when we had it in Achimota, they all came. Career development is nil. And it should be in the schools. I remember law school first year, criminal law. I was rattling. My criminal law teacher called me.